really making a run up top. And that truck behind him, that 47 of Chris Fontaine, what a job he always does on the restrictor plate tracks. And I'm going to tell you, Kevin, I went down and talked to the crew. That truck is 20 years old. They built a chassis for that in 1998. He's trying to take the lead from kids that aren't that old. But he always does a great job on the super speedways, and he's drafted his way to the front in this 20-year-old truck, Phil.
Some race teams build new cars every few months. Some chassis only get raced a few times, then are scrapped for newer versions, while others stick around for decades. In the case of one truck, it lasted nearly 20 years, and that is the story of Freak. The truck known as Freak was originally built by Bobby Hamilton Racing as a Dodge in late 1998. A lot of teams have names for their chassis, but Bobby Hamilton Racing's were the best. Among them were Hulk, Angel, Goober, Rudolph, Bob Daddy, Demon, Catfish, Chunky, Oscar, King, Rocket, Curly, Trix, Chucky, Timmy, Beavis, Butthead, Slim Shady, Tweeter, Mini-Me, Scarface, Duster, Magnum, Rambo, Nitro, Champ, and Freak. While results before 2000 are unavailable, Freak soon became a superspeedway truck, and as a result was never raced more than twice a year. It was used by Bobby Hamilton in the inaugural race at Daytona. After qualifying 5th, Freak was wrecked by Rudolph, another BHR truck driven by Joe Ruttman. When the trucks returned to Daytona in 2001, Freak was unbeatable, as Ruttman won the pole and then the race.
Anyone could have won with this thing, and I like.
In 2002, Freak won again at Daytona, this time in the hands of Robert Presley. After finishing 4th and 11th the next 2 years, Hamilton returned Freak to victory lane in 2005, winning in a confusing finish.
Bobby's definitely ahead of him. There's the yellow light coming. I'm telling you, to me, that would be irrefutable proof that Bobby Hamilton would win this race.
Well, here comes Bobby Hamilton out of this racetrack. They call the chassis Freak.
Hamilton drove it again at Daytona the following year, but finished a lap down when he had to pit on lap 7 with overheating problems. Bobby Hamilton Jr. then drove it to a 13th place finish at Talladega later that year. After Bobby Hamilton's passing in December 2006, Ken Schrader drove Freak at Daytona in 2007 and crashed on lap 23. Repaired for Talladega later that year, Dennis Setzer drove it to a 5th place finish. In 2008, Stacy Compton finished 6th at Daytona with Freak, the final time BHR raced it. When Bobby Hamilton Racing closed at the end of 2008, Freak and many other Hamilton trucks were sold to James Harris. The old Dodge sheet metal was removed. The truck became a Toyota.
You know, Terry Cook has a brand new sponsor tonight. It's called Cajun Industries, but he's got the oldest truck in the field. The chassis he's driving tonight is called Freak, and it's been in all 10 races right here. And believe it or not, it has won 3 races, that particular truck, to victory lane 3 times. That's unheard of. Terry Cook thinks he may have the very best shot to get a win here at Daytona tonight.
With a new manufacturer but the same old chassis, Freak finished 3rd at Daytona in 2009 and 4th at Talladega, both times with Terry Cook behind the wheel. After Harris's team closed in 2009, Freak was sold to Chris Fontaine. The first time Fontaine drove the truck was at Talladega in 2010. After qualifying 6th, Fontaine led 15 laps and surrendered the lead with 6 laps to go. Running 5th on a green-white checkered, the truck ran out of fuel and finished 19th. At Daytona in 2011, Kyle Busch pushed Freak to the lead with 5 laps to go.
How about this? Chris Fontaine in front of the field.
After losing momentum, they wrecked a lap later. At Talladega, Freak crashed again, this time with 10 laps to go. At Daytona in 2012, Fontaine was involved in a crash with 2 laps to go, but recovered to finish 7th. At Talladega, the truck wrecked with 30 to go and finished 29th. At Daytona the next year, Freak was taken out in a crash just past halfway. Early in the race at Talladega, Fontaine once again hooked up with Kyle Busch and went from 12th to 1st in 1 lap after a restart. He led 3 laps on his way to a 15th place finish. The following year, Freak was again involved in a crash at Daytona, but suffered minor damage and finished 19th on the lead lap. At Talladega, Fontaine began the last lap in 9th, but got up to 2nd coming to the finish line. He was squeezed to the apron and finished 7th. In 2015, Freak qualified 8th but was wrecked around halfway. At Talladega, Fontaine missed a wreck at the finish and came home in 8th. In 2016, Freak crashed in both of its races. In 2017, Fontaine failed to qualify at Daytona, then crashed again at Talladega. Before 2018, Freak was changed to a Chevy Silverado, marking the third different manufacturer's sheet metal placed on the reliable old chassis. Electrical problems at Daytona forced a 29th place finish. Tragically, after nearly 2 decades, Freak would meet its end at Talladega that October. Fontaine qualified 19th, and by halfway was running 10th. From there he charged to the front. But on lap 59, disaster struck. As it should have, Freak went out on top. After pushing Grant Enfinger to the lead, Freak was turned by Justin Haley while running in second. It was a wreck that Freak could not survive. After 20 years, the truck was finished. Freak had one of the longest lifespans of any one vehicle in NASCAR. It was raced by 8 drivers as 3 different manufacturers with 9 different numbers. It won 3 times and led 137 laps, and it crashed 14 times before it was finally retired. Deserving of its nickname to the very end, that truck was truly a freak.